everybody. Welcome to the F1 Grand Prix 2022 Austrian Grand Prix watch along. Welcome to the Maroon Athletic Channel with your boy Matthew. And today we watch the Austrian GP. Austria is a beautiful mountainous country, and basically right in the center of Europe is Austria. It's landlocked, and it's together with Switzerland. It's basically like the core of Europe. A big part of its prominence in the region is its geographical position. It's right from the east and west. It's along the Great Danubian trade route, and then in the north and the south, it goes through the Alpine passes. So it's got a lot of just great opportunities economically, politically, a lot of stuff around them. So, yeah, we're in Austria this weekend. The Austrian GP here, live. And we're ready to rock. Today is going to be a big day. Max Verstappen starts on pole. It is 8:46. You know, the race starts at 9, but they probably like 9:10. They say 9, but it'll probably be around 9:10. Anyways, yeah. So, the Austrian GP. Max Verstappen starts on pole. Charles Leclerc starts in second. Carlos Sainz starts in third. Let me bring up the actual full lineup here. And it looks like right now they're working on Lewis's car as he rides around in his little scooter. So it looks like Mercedes is repairing Lewis Hamilton's brakes while they're on the grid here. And the race is 12 minutes away from start, I believe. All right, so let's see. Let me give you the full starting lineup after yesterday's sprint race. So it's Verstappen, Leclerc, Sainz, and Russell, with Perez, Ocon, Magnussen, Hamilton, Schumacher, Bottas, Norris, Ricciardo, Stroll, Zhou Guanyu, Gasly, Albon, Tsunoda, Latifi, Vettel, and Alonso. Those are going to be the 20 drivers starting today's Austrian GP in the beautiful Styrian Hills. So, before the race starts, we'll go ahead and go through the lineup again, 1 through 20, just as they go through it on there. But, yeah, big day here in Austria. This is one of my favorite GPs every year. I love the Austrian Grand Prix. It's had some great moments over the years. My biggest thing that I've liked over the years is when it came back during the pandemic. It had 2 races back-to-back to start off the season. That was amazing. Also, you remember 2016, I believe it was, or maybe 2015, around there when Hamilton and Rosberg came together on the last lap. It was just cracking moments here in Austria. You remember Leclerc and Verstappen. When Verstappen overtook Leclerc made the complaint. You know, it got reviewed. Nothing happened to Max. It was just some great moments here at Austria, and I'm sure today will be no different. The what's it called? The Dutch fans are out and about this weekend. They are live, of course, getting excited. The orange smoke going. It's a big weekend for Dutch fans as their boy Max Verstappen rides in that Red Bull. So he leads. As you know, he leads the driver standings currently because Charles Leclerc has just had a bad run of form lately. And, you know, it all started based on the Ferrari reliability issues at Spain. His car gave out at Spain, and ever since then he hasn't finished on the podium since prior to the Spanish Grand Prix. So not what Charles Leclerc was looking for at all this season. He had 4 podiums entering Spain, and now he hasn't gotten a podium since then. So this weekend, he'll really be needing a podium. He's looking for one this weekend for sure. As right now, he is he is 44 points down on Max Verstappen in the Drivers' Championship. So if he doesn't get some gains today, then he'll be down. He could go down over 2 races worth of points. So, because he could go down 52 points if Max wins the race. Even if Charles finishes second and gets the fastest lap, Max will be still up by 6 more. So that'll only be 50, but it's nearly 2 full races. So it's going to be a wild, wild day here in Austria. And it looks like they got Lewis's car all fixed up, so he should be good to go. They're talking to Sergio Perez right now. So Sergio Perez was very quick in yesterday's sprint race. Very, very quick. All right, so yeah, the repair on the Mercedes is good. No issues there. Okay. So yeah, it's hold on, got an error on the stream. Huh? What's up with the stream? Why is it so laggy? That's ugly, bruv. That's so ugly. That's so bizarre. Let me just turn off my Wi-Fi on my phone. Hopefully that helps us out a little bit. But yeah, it's a big day here in Austria. I'm excited for the Grand Prix. It's 8:51, so we got about 9 minutes until the lights out, at least until the formation lap. But yeah, very exciting times. Austria is always a great race. And you know, from now on, every Sunday, we're going to be doing this here on the channel, on the Mach, the Maroon Athletic channel. We're going to do this at least most Sundays until like NFL and stuff like that gets underway. But for the next couple Sundays, not next week because there's no race, but then in France and Hungary, we're going to do it again. So we're going to finish it off today here in Austria. Then when we need to, we'll go to France and Hungary. So I'm excited about it. It should be a very interesting, I don't know. It'll just be exciting to do it. I'm excited to do this. I've been looking forward to doing this for a while. I wish the stream connection would be a little better, but, it'll be all good. We'll survive through it. But, yeah. Great day here for the Austrian GP. Austria is also the home of Sigmund Freud, if you did not know. Oh, excuse me. Sorry for the yawns. It is 8:53 a.m. here on the east coast of the United States. Obviously, I am somewhat lucky because if I was living on the west coast or the central or Pacific, central or mountain time, it would be about 6:53 a.m. and or 5:53 a.m. out west. So I think I would love to pass on that. Just not something I would be interested in being up all that time, But I have done, and I will do if I need to for big races for NF1. Sometimes when they go into the Asian races, those are at like 2, 3, 4, 5 in the morning. So it just depends on the day. But luckily we got this race at 9 o'clock today, so nothing too bad, but still a little tired. 100% very tired, But we'll be all good. Once the race gets on, the action gets cracking, we'll be good to go. We're not at Abu Dhabi, so there won't be a nap being taken. Even though last year it wasn't too much nap time. I mean, that race was boring until the end, let's be honest. And then Michael Massey made it interesting with his terrible calls. Even though I like Max Verstappen, man, what a horrible way to win. I mean, I'm sure it doesn't matter to him because he won, but what a horrible way to lose, especially for Lewis. It was not right. Lewis should have had his 8th title. So it was just unfortunate for everybody involved, except for Red Bull and Verstappen. But everybody else would have been very disappointed in that. This is awesome. It's nearly time. It's another one that I didn't remember until they just showed it. When Albon got spun by Lewis during the pandemic, I think it was in round 1 of that season, of the pandemic season, and he said, "This guy is such a sore loser." That was a crazy moment in F1 history because look, now Alex is racing for Williams. Lewis is still at Mercedes. You know, what if Alex would have went on and won that race or something like that? You know what I mean? Could things have been different? Could it be Alex and Max? Could Alex have been, reached his potential? Crazy questions you ask about sports. And now look at Lewis. He continued to be great. He won that season and everything. I don't think that would have affected Lewis's career much, but it could have really affected Alex's if he would have went on and won that race. Could have given him some confidence. He could have got some good performances, but he didn't. Yeah. 1 second, I'm coming.
So it's time then for the main event, and the main event that takes us after 71 laps to the halfway point of this 2022 season. Welcome along to the Red Bull Ring, and it's the 35th World Championship Austrian Grand Prix, the 18th to take place at this track, where pole has won 8 out of 17 times, including the last 4 Grand Prix here. The track itself, 2.68 miles long. There are 10 corners, 3 to the left and 7 to the right. A lap distance at full throttle for 77% of the lap, and there are 3 DRS zones, overtaking spots into turn 1, into turn 3, and into turn 4 as well. Big elevation changes, as you would expect here in the Austrian Alps. 63.5 meters, lowest point to the highest point at turn 3. And this last year is George Russell on Stroll, taking the inside line at turn 3 and getting the move done without his opponents having to leave the track. Leclerc and Perez down into turn 4. Got to be late on the brakes here, got to be careful on the brakes here, and Sergio Perez very much was. Charles Leclerc, though, fighting it back on the way down to turn 4.
Alrighty, sorry about the delay. Here we go. We getting ready. So they have intro. The intro has begun. They're getting ready to go ahead and start introducing the drivers and all the lineups and everything for today. As I said, it's a big day for the Ferrari team, especially Charles Leclerc. He really needs a good performance this weekend. He hasn't finished better than 4th in the last 5 Grand Prix, with 2 DNFs thrown in there, I believe. And today he starts P2 as he takes on, expectedly, Max Verstappen for the battle. 1 second. So Valtteri Bottas is starting in last today. After he will start from the pit lane, actually, with penalties for changing parts. And Alonso starts 19th with a penalty as well, because he failed yesterday in his in the sprint race. He was unable to start the race, some kind of electrical issue, so he will start from 19th today. But as I said, Max Verstappen and Charles Leclerc, that's really the battle we're going to probably see most of today. Verstappen and Leclerc, 2 24-year-olds, 2 superstars in the sport, going to be legends in the making. Verstappen already has a title. Leclerc should have one soon if Ferrari can keep the car good under him. He's just had bad luck this season. And Max Verstappen is just a great performer. But, we can still watch out for Carlos Sainz starting in 3rd, George Russell in 4th. I just don't think the Mercedes with Russell and Hamilton are going to have the pace to keep up with the Ferraris and Red Bulls. So Sergio Perez only starting 5th today after the sprint, but he went from 13th to 5th yesterday in those 24 laps. He showed some immense pace, and we could really see both Red Bulls up front today, which would be a surprise. Sergio's usually off the pace of Max. Unless Max has a problem or something like that, Sergio's usually not there. So maybe today Perez can give Max a run for his money. But it is going to be very exciting. And the cars are fired up now. They're getting ready to take the tire covers off the car and get off the grid, because it is 8:59. So we're just about to start the Grand Prix for the formation lap here in Austria. It's a great crowd today as well. The drivers look locked in. No issues. I can't tell. It looks, and there they are showing the orange army, Max Verstappen and the Dutch fans in the crowd. Orange smoke already going up. You see the Red Bull in the background, the beautiful Red Bull ring. But I believe it looks like, I can't tell 100% on TV, obviously. Let me look on my phone, but it kind of looks a little cloudy there. And obviously they're in the Styrian Hills, and the drivers have said it, the teams said it, and we've seen it over the years. When the rain rolls in Austria, it could come out of nowhere, and it has before. So you got to watch out. It's partly cloudy. There's a 40% chance of rain at 4 o'clock there, which is an hour from now. Or is that now? Might be now, but let me just double check. It says now is partly cloudy. It's only 61 degrees over there in Austria. Let me see. I don't remember if it's 3 or 4 o'clock there right now. Let's see. All right, let me see. So right now they're talking also about the pit stop strategy. And it's going to be interesting to see how far the guys can go. So it's 3 o'clock there, yeah. So now it's 3:01. They're on the formation lap. They're trying to decide, David Croft and Martin Brundle are talking about who and what the pit strategies are going to be this week. But, with the difference in the regulations this year where, you don't have to start on the tire you qualify on and all that, the strategy has not been as prominent as it was prior, which is, some people like that, some people don't. I'm not 100% sure how I feel about it, but I do know that there were some races last year and in years past where Mercedes just weren't going to win the race, and then they had a shot. I like to see the racing on the circuit, not getting overtaken in the pits. It's not as exciting as seeing the guys go wheel to wheel on track, which we got to see a lot last year between Verstappen and Hamilton, and we saw some yesterday between the Ferraris. They almost crashed each other. Carlos Sainz had to pull out of that encounter with his teammate Charles Leclerc. If he did not get on the brakes there, he may have just let off, but I think he had to get on the brakes. You couldn't tell they didn't show his end car, but if he wouldn't have pulled out of that, it would have been a big crash for the Ferraris, and it would have been a big issue, obviously, for the team from Italy. Hold on. So I guess they're having some issues with the fans. David Croft was just touching on it. He said most of the fans are, representing themselves well, but I guess some of them were causing issues. And the way he's talking, it seemed like maybe a little violence, but you wouldn't expect violence from them, but you never know. The cars are rolling onto the grid now. Always a tough moment when you're at the front of the grid. I mean, you'd love to be at the front of the grid, but the only downside to that is you have to sit there and wait for the other 19 cars to queue up while your tires and brakes and engine all get super cold. And here they go. It's about to go green. David Croft and Martin Brundle in the broadcast booth, as always. And it's always exciting when Crofty's in there. Here we go. So, prediction for the race, I got Max Verstappen winning the race. It's in Austria. He's always great in Austria. This is his track. He's got it today. But I think it'll be a cracking GP. I do believe we'll get a safety car today. Here we go. 5 red lights. And away we go. Here we are in Austria. We're racing in anger. Verstappen with a great start. He just cuts right in front of Charles Leclerc into turn 1. He's got that easily. George Russell's up the inside, and Carlos Sainz goes wide in turn 1. George Russell's down his inside as they head down to turn 3. Russell and Sainz go wheel to wheel. Sainz pulls out in front. Now Sergio Perez is going to go there on the outside of George Russell into turn 3. There's Magnussen on the outside of the other Alpine of Esteban Ocon. The top 3 are separate, but then it's 2 by 2 through the field as they head down to turn 4. Now they're starting to single file out. Russell and Perez still level. Contact, and there goes Perez! Off the circuit! Into the gravel, Sergio Perez. Russell hits him in the left rear. In the right rear. Perez tried to hang it around the outside coming out of turn 4. We've seen issues there before, namely Alexander Albon in 2020. When Lewis Hamilton sent him spinning into the gravel, there goes Perez. His race. Very much so compromised. And an interesting lap 1 as Max Verstappen has pulled out a lead already. Probably about half a second. They're not showing the time yet. Sebastian Vettel reporting he has damage to his Aston Martin. So Verstappen, Leclerc, Sainz, Russell, and Ocon are your top 5 at the end of the first lap here in Austria. It is a second lead. 1 second for Max Verstappen, and then a whole nother second back to Carlos Sainz, and then another second back to George Russell. The top 5 all separated by a second each, and then it gets closer from 6th down to 10th, and then through the rest of the field, really. But Sergio Perez, 32 seconds away, 35 now, 20th position for him. That is unfortunate start to the race. As I said, he was so quick yesterday. but not a great start. He goes round off the left front of George Russell. So he has a... Hold on. All right, so he gets the hard tire put on. I don't think he can make it to the end there. I mean, he maybe could, but probably not. Yeah, there's no way he's going to make it to the end because there's 69 laps remaining. He puts on the hard tires, though. Those have the longest life and the least grip. So we'll see how long he can go on those hards. But we'll see. DRS has now been enabled here. The drag reduction system, the rear wing will open if you're within a second of the car in front in the drag reduction zone, which there are 2 of on this circuit. Yes, one in the run down to turn 1, and then another in the run down to turn 3. So the entire field except Fernando Alonso and now Sergio Perez are on. Oh, and Yuki Tsunoda are on the medium tires. Tsunoda and jeez, I'm missing people. Zhou Guan Yu, Yuki Tsunoda, Fernando Alonso all started the race on the hard tire. Sergio Perez has now gotten over to the hard tire. Everybody else on the medium, so we will not see the soft tire this weekend. Just too much degradation of the tires. The speed is great for qualifying and stuff, but we saw it yesterday with Alexander Albon starting in the Williams. He started somewhat up in the field. He fell back quickly. The tires degrade way too fast when they're on the softs here in Austria. So the mediums are the optimal race tire. And Charles Leclerc has just put in the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. A 1:09.928. He's within a second of Max Verstappen. So we will see if any battles will go on. We are single file throughout the pack currently. But let's look at a replay of the race start. Right off the start, though. There's no starts you can see that were bad or great. It was just a very calm start, but then things got wild as Verstappen takes the lead there. Sainz gets not really forced off, just wheel to wheel. He goes off in turn 1 with George Russell. I don't think there's going to be any issues with that one as far as penalties or anything. But then is where it got crazy is when Sergio Perez started trying to get around him. He goes around him on the outside in turn 3, but he can't stick it. Russell gets a much better run down towards turn 4, which you'd expect. The Mercedes engine is much better than the Red Bull power. And then Perez got on the brakes a little later. Man, that might be a penalty on George because it looks like Sergio was ahead as they entered the corner. Let's see this in a little slower motion. So Sergio's left. Oh, he is ahead there. And it doesn't seem... George says on the radio nothing he could do. He just turned into me. But it doesn't look like Sergio turned into him. Sergio was way to the outside. Okay, maybe. I don't know. It's tough. This is why I'm glad I'm not the one that has to make these calls because it looks like Sergio gave George Russell enough room. And George kind of like floated over to the left side of the turn, to the outside. But also... Then when you're on board with Sergio, it kind of looks like he may have slowed. It could just be a racing incident in the end. I think, personally, I would say it's a racing incident. I don't know how the stewards will see it themselves, the race control. But personally, I think that's a racing incident between Russell and Perez. It looks like they both just came together. It's lap 1. They're usually a little more lenient, so maybe that would be a good thing for George. But it was tires contact, no wing damage for George Russell, but there was some side pod damage for Sergio Perez, so that's going to be a tough one for him. He's going to lose some performance. Definitely aerodynamically is going to be a lot more drag down the straights, and the engine will definitely have issues cooling, so it could be some overheating issues for Perez. But then again, as we said, the weather, it's 61 degrees with the ambient temperature. Obviously the F1 cars, 61 degrees Fahrenheit, that's for me in America, so I should probably look up and see what it is in Celsius just in case you're watching from somewhere that doesn't use our system since that's everywhere except us. So, let's see. Let's do a degrees to Celsius little combo. So it's 61 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's 16 degrees Celsius today. Normally, I think the F1 cars sit around 245 degrees Fahrenheit as far as the engine temp, which is about 118 degrees Celsius. So, we'll see if it has any effect. It shouldn't. These cars are so good that usually if they have a mechanical failure, it's something huge, not something that like they're so precisely made that it's like a big break. It's never like just personally, I don't see a lot of engines overheating to the point where they break. Now we've had overheating issues, but those are usually in desert conditions, like in Bahrain with the Ferraris a few years ago. We did have heating issues here in Austria actually with the Mercedes. Much different conditions though. It was in 2020. It was very, very hot that day. It looked hot. The sun was out and about. And the Mercedes that year had overheating problems all season. They usually do have overheating problems. Maybe not this year, but during the turbo hybrid era, the V6 engines from 2014 to 2013 to 2021, they had a lot of issues with overheating. We've seen that story many times. Just as they had issues going over the curbs, which obviously this year is an issue for everybody with these new cars. They're much lower to the ground, and so the curbs are very much unforgiving for the new cars. Charles Leclerc is closing the gap just a tad. He's a half a second down on Max Verstappen. Carlos Sainz is in third. He's 2.4 seconds back. And George Russell is 6.7 seconds behind him. So that's not the greatest performance right now. And George Russell is actually not even a second ahead of a few cars behind him. There's some cars right there up his gearbox. So Lewis Hamilton has been overtaken by Mick Schumacher, and he said that the Haas F1 team, their straight line speed is crazy. Those are verbatim words from Lewis Hamilton. They are in the Ferrari engine. They have a Ferrari engine under their, in their car, and Lewis has the Mercedes engine, obviously, with the Mercedes Works team that he drives for, obviously. And yeah, the Ferrari engine is maybe not the most reliable, but it's the most well-performing engine that they have in the field this year. You can see it when they go wheel to wheel or down a straight with somebody. It's all Ferrari. Then Mercedes is the second best team, so as second best engine. So Mercedes has it. Alpine has a Mercedes engine. McLaren has a Mercedes engine. Aston Martin, Williams, stuff like that. Or not Alpine, sorry. I meant Aston Martin, not Alpine. Alpine has the Renault engine, obviously, because Alpine is the supercar version of the Renault. Blah, blah. But yeah, it's pretty crazy when a 7-time world champion who's driving in the second best engine on the grid says that such and such engine is so much quicker than ours. That just shows you how good the Ferraris are this year as far as their engine, their power units go. Their reliability, not so much. Their chassis and aerodynamics probably as well, not so much, because if they were good too, they'd be dominating the field, which they've been great, but it's been Max Verstappen that's dominated, and in the standings it's Verstappen and Perez that are your top two, both of the Red Bull drivers. So all right, so things could be heating up. Hold on. Lando Norris has been given his first track limit warning. You get 2 warnings, I believe, and the third time you get a lap deleted, I think. 1 second. So, listening to Johnny Herbert and Sky Race Control. So they're saying Verstappen is struggling with the front end of his Red Bull car. Oh, Leclerc goes down the inside. He dive bombs him into turn 3, but he can't get it as Max gets the better run out of turn 3. That came out of nowhere. I wasn't prepared for that. He really sent it. Now he's going to go round the outside. He's not going to have enough room, and a slight lockup on the right front from Charles Leclerc. This is going to get tasty. George Russell gets a 5-second penalty for the contact with Sergio Perez on lap 1. So he will serve that on his pit stop because it's come early. What's Verstappen saying? So now, after that lockup from Charles, they come across the line again. Max is now 7/10 of a second ahead of Charles. Obviously, Leclerc closes it with the DRS in turn 1. He opens his wing again as they head down towards turn 3. This is where he sent it down the inside last lap. He's not going to do it this time. It really reminded me of when these two battled before, and Verstappen sent it down the inside of Charles, made contact, and then he won the race there in 2019, I believe that was. More DRS. Here we go down towards turn 4. So actually, I was mistaken. It is 3 drag reduction systems or zones. So there's one on the run down to turn 1 on the front stretch when you get across the line. Then when you make it from turn 2 to turn 3, there's another drag reduction zone. And then from turn 3 to turn 4, there's a third one. So right there, all at the front of the lap, 3 drag reduction zones. And that's when you get into the more high-speed, weaving S's of the track and get towards the end of the lap. But, yeah, 3 drag reduction zones. I missed that one between turns 3 and 4. And that was my mistake. But so far, it's been a cracking race. We've had some very interesting situations unfold here. The crash, well, you can call it a crash if you want, but the spin, Sergio Perez getting spun around by George Russell on lap 1. Russell given a 5-second penalty. Russell's in the pits, actually, right now. Let's see how long his pit stop will take. So they had to take the penalty, of course. And they're changing the front wing. Oh, and Charles Leclerc goes down the inside, and he's going to take the lead here. What a move by Charles Leclerc. It looked like he caught him sleeping. An amazing overtake, and what a battle between... Oh, and Charles gets squirrely there. On the curbs, he almost... A little bit of a tank slapper, almost loses the rear. What an overtake from Charles Leclerc. That was a beautiful drive. What a talented... Every time you watch these two, Leclerc, Verstappen, just this whole field. F1, I haven't been watching forever, but since I've been watching in 2014, 2015, this is the best field I've ever seen. This year, these 20 drivers. The last few years has been getting better, but this year has been the 20 best I've ever seen. Because when I started watching, we had drivers that weren't that great, like like Pascal Wehrlein. People like this were coming up through the ranks, just Kobayashi didn't know what he was doing. People like that. Now, you got your 20 best drivers I've ever seen in the world as far as in F1. And, it's amazing. It's just such a cracking... Every weekend is just such a cracking experience. And, a huge lockup from Max Verstappen. He's really pushing now, and you can see, obviously, he's struggling with the front. Leclerc gets a second track limit warning, so he's got to be careful. So Verstappen falling behind, and Sainz is catching Max. So the Ferraris may have the pace today. They didn't look like they had the pace yesterday. If you watched that sprint race, Max Verstappen dominated. Verstappen's coming into the pit lane. George Russell pitted in. He fell down to 19th in the Mercedes, but remember, he had to sit for 5 seconds. So here we go. Three seconds was the stop there for Red Bull. That is just not good in terms of their normal stops. That's not something they normally get. A 3-second stop, that's slow for the Red Bull team. So they got to be careful here because Ferrari has a really good pit crew this season. Normally it's Red Bull, the man, the myth, the legend. It's always Red Bull. But this year Ferrari's been stout. And Williams is always good. But Williams is never up front, so it doesn't matter. But Red Bull are usually the team to beat as far as pit lane. But Ferrari has the fastest pit stop of the season. That was in Spain, a 2.23 second stop, which was absolutely stunning. This is a whole second slower than that one. Again, that was the fastest one of the year, so you can't really read into it too much. But this stop from Red Bull was very, very slow to me. And now we look back in the field. A battle for 5th currently, but would be 6th after the pit stops. But Hamilton, he just... through turn 8, a bizarre place to make the overtake through the S's, but Hamilton does it. He gets right past Mick Schumacher, and he's on his way towards Kevin Magnussen ahead. So he takes over. He takes one Haas. Will he take the second one now? So Sainz gets his second warning for track limits. This is an easy track to, get warned for track limits. It's just a very narrow, and because of such short amount of turns, you're trying to gain so much time at certain places that it's easy to go off the circuit. Obviously, the video game's no good comparison to real life. But I will say, even when you play the game, I love Austria. But it's very, very difficult to not get a track limit warning. It's very hard to stay on the circuit at all times, especially coming out of turn 1, and especially this year. And there goes Hamilton again down the inside of Magnussen. So Hamilton is flying. And this is the thing we see Lewis Hamilton do. This is what makes him so great to me. 1 second. Verstappen gets his first track limit warning. But this is what have always made Lewis Hamilton so great, in my opinion, and why I have loved watching him. As the race goes on and as the tires get worn, Lewis Hamilton comes alive. We've seen him run on a set of hard tires for 30 laps. Final lap of the race, he puts in the fastest lap of the entire race on the last lap. People have been running on brand new softs, brand new mediums. He's running on completely worn hards. Boom, puts in a fast lap. And then we see it again here. He's on worn out mediums. We're 16 laps into the Grand Prix, and he's making overtakes on drivers that are on the same tires as him. It's not like they're on worse ones. Same tires as him, but he makes them work better. He conserves his tires better, and he can use worn tires better than anybody else in the field. The only person that might save their tires better is Sergio Perez, but as far as being able to capitalize on the tires while they're worn and everybody else is worn as well, it's Lewis Hamilton, and there's no way around it. He's so just...
Sorry, could you say that again?
Look at Siri trying to do me dirty. He's so talented that it's a beautiful sight. So especially, just being able to save the tires is just a skill that not many drivers have, especially because the pace that he runs at and he still saves his tires, it's pretty amazing. It's not something you'd expect from somebody with such great immense pace to be able to save tires at such an astounding rate, It's just very impressive. So, yeah. Give me 1 second. I'm trying to edit something here. Hold on. Alright, so we should be good there. Anyways, the pit stops are being made here in Austria. It's been a great race so far. We've had some cracking moments. The overtake that, of Leclerc on Verstappen was awesome. And then the contact between Perez and, George Russell was crazy. So Lewis radios in and says tires are good. He wants to stay out. But the issue for Lewis is he may be third on the circuit, but Max Verstappen has already made his pit stop, and he's about to overtake Lewis Hamilton. So we've seen this story before, but this year it shouldn't be as intense between Verstappen and Hamilton. Last year was insane. It got a little out of hand at times, but it was an amazing experience, and I'm forever grateful I was able to witness that season. That is going to go down as one of the greatest seasons in the history of the sport for many reasons. For the talent between the two drivers, for the drama between the two drivers, the contact, the speed, the two-horse race, nobody else was involved, but also the fact of the FIA race control, Michael Massey, and the just disgraceful performances that were displayed in the final two Grand Prix of last season, especially in Abu Dhabi. And I'm big Max Verstappen guy. I don't have an actual favorite driver. It's very nice and satisfying to watch Formula One as a neutral, but Max Verstappen, I'm a big fan of him. I liked rooting for Max and Red Bull, but I've said it before and I'll say it again. That was just an unfortunate turn of events for Mercedes, and I don't think they deserved to lose that race. It was just baffling. I couldn't believe it. I can't. You can't change the rules just for that race. You know, it was crazy. So yeah, it was a horrible decision for Michael Massey in the race control. But that's neither here nor there. Now we're here a half a year later. Well, more than a half a year, but as far as racing goes, a half a year. Because this is round 11 of 22 of the new season. That was round 22 of 22 of last season. But yeah, it was easy work, by the way. Verstappen made easy work of Hamilton. I didn't feel the need to update because, you know, Hamilton's on old tires. They're on completely different race strategies right now. So, but Verstappen, I mean, he's about 23 seconds down on Charles Leclerc. So we'll see what the pit stop is like for Charles. But it shouldn't be anything. I mean, they could be tight. It could even be Verstappen out front after the pit stops. We'll see. It's actually, no, it's not. It's not 23 seconds. It's 19.652. Oh, and he goes quickest. Verstappen does. So he's definitely gonna. I'm almost certain he's gonna be out in front of Charles Leclerc then. But his tires are gonna be older, of course, because he's been going now for probably about 5 laps or so. So the Japanese driver Yuki Tsunoda and the Chinese driver Zhou Guan Yu are going to do battle, as well as the Spanish driver of Fernando Alonso. And it looks like now Alonso's closer to Guan Yu than Guan Yu is to Tsunoda. They both have DRS. Tsunoda does not, so they're going to make a much quicker gain on Tsunoda than he will get away from them. Fernando Alonso up to 8th here. I don't think he is he has not pitted though, so we'll see. So Sergio Perez has gotten a black and white flag, which means next time he exceeds track limits, it will be a penalty for the Red Bull driver. So he can no longer exceed track limits here for the entirety of the race. So that's going to be about a 50 to 45 lap stretch that he cannot exceed track limits one time. So, as I said, it's very difficult in Austria not to exceed the track limits. So we shall see if he can do that. I'm not saying that, I'm not making excuses for these guys. As I said, they're the 20 best drivers in the world. But it's very difficult to not go off the track here. And especially with the way the track limits are with the FIA, it's off the track can be inches. It's a very small margin. That's why it's so difficult. Like, you don't even have to go all the way over the curb. If you're, off the track by whatever their standards are, which they change a lot, so it's hard to say. But, it could be something minuscule, a couple inches left or right with your tires, Usually the way I understand it is if all 4 tires are off, then that would be a track limits, but they haven't been showing the track limits today as far as the drivers going off, so I really can't tell you what I've seen as far as, how far they went off. Now, it looks like it's about turn 6 that it's happening a lot, because when they come off of turn 6, they're barreling out of that turn, and all their force is going to the right, and then the curbs are on the right, and they're at least half the car is on those curbs every time. So that could be where they're losing a lot of it. As well as coming actually to turn 9 and 10 at the end of the lap, it looks like they're doing it too. Very, very much on the edge. So I can definitely see some spots where they could be getting track limits. So it's nearly time for the Ferraris to stop, you'd have to say. They're going a lot longer than Max did. Max is about 17 seconds down. Excuse me. Now they're wheel-to-wheel Zhou Guan Yu and Esteban Ocon. Yeah. And it's still Ocon in the lead. But here they go down towards turn 5 and 6. Guan Yu couldn't go for it. He could have held it in there, but it probably would have caused a collision. Not worth it there. Which is good to see from the rookie, Zhou Guan Yu. A lot of talent for him, maybe. Hold on. Okay. So Verstappen is... So from the radio, we just got Christian Horner, Max Verstappen, and then I don't know Max Verstappen's engineer, but forgive me. But the engineer came on the radio and told Max that Leclerc and Sainz, the two Ferraris, just did a 10.8 on the last lap, which means they did a 1 minute 10.8 seconds was their lap, and Verstappen is running about a 109.8 on most laps. About a 110.1 is his average. 109.8 was his fastest. So, he's gaining time. But then Christian Horner, the team boss, came on the radio and told him, Max, I think they're going for a one-stop. So that would indicate to me, obviously, that if Ferrari are going for the one-stop, and Horner mentioned it, that Verstappen and the Red Bulls are going for a two-stop. So we will see some strategy today, and it'll be interesting to see what happens, because Verstappen's going to go for a two-stop. Is he going to go medium, hard, medium, or is he going to go medium, hard, hard? Or maybe medium, hard, soft? I don't know. That's a little risky. But it looks like Leclerc and Sainz, the two Ferraris, or at least Leclerc, is going to go for a one-stop because they still haven't pitted. Sorry about that. It is early here in the States, especially. Hey, as I said earlier, luckily I'm on the East Coast, not the West Coast, because wow, would it be very, very early on the West Coast. It'd be still 6:30 in the morning. Would have had to be up at 5:45 for the stream, so about 5 anyways. So, and now on the screen we got 5 cars going at it. Here's they go into turn 3. Norris just is going to go around everybody on the outside. It looks like he's been forced off the circuit by the Haas. At least it looked like that to me. That's my very first reaction. He was forced off. He doesn't care though. He flies past Magnussen anyways, then down into turn 4. And he's going to hang on the outside. No, Magnussen forcing him off again. That wasn't really a force off. That was fair play by Magnussen. But here they go down into turn 5. And out of turn 5. What an amazing battle we're seeing here. Down to turn 6 now. We're still following this gaggle of cars. Just an immense amount of drivers together right there. Magnussen, Norris, Alonso, Schumacher, and Zhou Guanyu. 5 cars, they were all like within 0.2 of a second of each other. Now they've spread out again, and Zhou Guanyu's come down the pit lane. But wow, oh wow, that was a crazy battle for a bit of a minute there. Let's see. Hamilton. All right. So Hamilton has had a lap deleted, his engineer tells him, and he responds with, when I didn't go off. So he obviously doesn't think he exceeded track limits, but the stewards have a much different viewpoint on that, obviously. So, by the way, update on Sergio Perez. He's pretty much out of this Grand Prix because he has been lapped. So that's going to be it for him, most likely. He's got no shot at points. So, if he gets points, it'd be an immense comeback. Like, it would be bigger than a win. So Verstappen gets his second warning for track limits. So that is not looking good for Max. But Leclerc also has the 2 seconds, so. Not 2 seconds, the 2 warnings. So both of them are on some couple of warnings. Got to be careful. Oh, so that's it. Sergio Perez is they're retiring the car. So too much damage for him. He's out of the Austrian GP. And just as they bring him in, Charles Leclerc comes into the pit lane. Not a bad stop, but not a quick. It was quicker than the other one, actually, by a while. Much quicker than the Red Bull stop. 2.6 seconds was the stop for Leclerc there. So Leclerc's stop was 12 laps after Verstappen's. So if he wants to go to the end of the race, Leclerc has to make these tires last 45 laps, which I think that's doable. He went 26 on mediums. The hards obviously have a lot less degradation and less degradation, but a lot less pace. So they should last longer, just be a little slower. But Max is on hards right now too. I think, though, Max is going to go to a certain point, come in, and get a softer compound. Most likely the mediums, but he could go for the softs if he wants to be really aggressive, but I just think that's the wrong choice for the Red Bull team. We shall see, though. 45 laps, now 44 laps remaining here in the GP. Much better battle than I expected at the front, at least. I thought it was going to be Verstappen running away with it, and then we'd see battles throughout the pack. But not today. It's been a great performance from the Ferraris and also from Verstappen. It's been a good one. Red Bull looked to be one of the only, well, not one of the only, but one of the only teams in the top of the grid that are going, or at the front of the grid that are going for a one stop or for a two stop here. Most of the other teams are going for a one stop. So we'll see what they do, but a one stop could be the wave here. So here's a replay of Mick Schumacher. All right. Just a simple little overtake of Lando Norris there. I mean, and Lando says that Mick Schumacher squeezed him and moved under braking. I didn't see it, but you know, I'm not in the car, so maybe he did. We will see, because they're going to do a little review in the good old principal's office. The stewards are going to take a look at it. So the Martin Brundle and David Croft, they also do not think it was a penalty, but a 4.1 second stop for Hamilton. Woo! That's bad. I thought Max's stop was bad, a 3.2, 4.1. That is just, that's a horrible stop. I mean, that is really bad for an F1 stop. Disappointing for Lewis. So the only driver, hold on. So yeah, I mean, it's been a. So Charles Leclerc is putting on some cracking laps right now, by the way. He just put in a 108.9. I think before that, yeah, if I'm not mistaken, when we were just talking about it, Verstappen put in a 109.8, which 1.1 seconds quicker is pretty good speed from the Red Bull or from the Ferraris. Could be a day of the Ferraris here in Austria, which is not normal. It's usually the Red Bulls. And Lewis takes over fourth place from Esteban Ocon. So Lewis, if he goes for a one stop here, he could really seriously be, you know, in contention for the lead, for the win maybe. We'll see, but he's up to fourth, and he's had some immense pace today, which I didn't expect from the Mercedes. He started in eighth, Lewis. He's up to fourth now, so he's been doing pretty good so far. His swing and got George Russell a 5-second time penalty, which he served on his pit stop, so he will, you know, be fine as far as the race. So Russell's down in ninth now. So the Mercedes have basically swapped positions after the first stint. Russell's down to ninth. He started in fourth. Hamilton's up to fourth. He started in eighth. So interesting. So far we have 40 laps remaining here in Austria. We will see who's. It's going to be an interesting one down the stretch here, but it's only 1.5 seconds that separates the two at the front. Verstappen leading Leclerc. And I think, you know, they're. It seems like Verstappen's going for a two-stop. You never know, though. He could try to stretch it out, but again, it is very early here in the U.S. But not as, I mean, I shouldn't complain. I mean, I'm really not complaining because it's awesome to be up and watch F1, but out on the West Coast, they got it bad, man. It's almost, it's not even 7 a.m. in the West Coast, and the race is almost halfway through, so that's really tough for them. But it's nice, the morning races here on the East Coast. Wake up, watch some F1, and if you want to, you go back to sleep, take you a little nap. But so far, it's been a great Grand Prix. Weekend attendance, 303,000. Wow. That is mind-blowing. That doesn't mean that there's 303,000 people sitting there, but still, 303,000 people this weekend. That's crazy. So Pierre Gasly in the Alpha Tauri and Leclerc with a very easy as you like, makes a takeover on Max Verstappen. And he's back out front here of the Austrian GP. He just seems to have more pace. It doesn't look to be much of a battle as far as on track. Now, pit strategy, that could be a much different story. We will see. But now that Charles Leclerc has the lead again, it might not be any issues because, Max is going to pit again and then he'll fall way back, 20 seconds, however long. 1 second. So Max is very upset with the car. He says one lap he'll have grip on the front, one lap he won't. He said the car is very unpredictable and just seems very unhappy with his Red Bull today, which is just a surprise. Yesterday he was very, very happy with his Red Bull in the sprint race. He dominated the sprint race. He was nowhere near anybody else. He took off. He was way out in front of the pack in the sprint race. But today, it's been nothing that he could really do. He's had no answer for them. It's been basically all Charles Leclerc once he got up to Max. He's had much more pace throughout the race. Sorry, I was just checking out the stream. But he's had much more pace throughout the race. There's been no competition once they got near each other. It took him 2 bites at the cherry to get around Max on the first battle. This time there was no battle. He just opened his wing down in towards turn 3 in the DRS zone. Went right down his inside, easy as you like. Max lets him go. Boom. Charles is back out front. So the Ferrari, this is a race I was telling you that Leclerc needs a race like this. He cannot afford to keep having the bad races if he wants to stay in this championship fight. He's had 3 fourth places and 2 DNFs in the last 5 Grand Prix. Cannot happen again. So he needs to come out today like he has done, perform well, put in a good performance as far as like the fastest lap of the race so he can get that extra point at the end and, start gaining some points on Max Verstappen. Now that Max is in second place and Leclerc's teammate Sainz is in third, you got to hope that Carlos Sainz can come up there and battle with him. I'm looking on F1.com now to see. So, yeah, Leclerc and Sainz both may go ahead of Sergio Perez today with Perez's DNF. But, yeah, 26 points for Charles would be very helpful for him today. Lord, oh Lord. It's annoying to yawn because the race has actually been pretty exciting today. But, it's early here where I'm at. So Fernando Alonso just went down the inside of Yuki Tsunoda, made the pass, and then wagged his finger at him, which is hilarious to see. Like, it wasn't anything, like, to be super disrespectful, just having fun. But it's funny because Alonso is, what is he, like 41 now, 40? He's a veteran in the sport, and Yuki Tsunoda's in his second season. And you'd think it would be the other way around, but nope. Alonso's just out there having fun. Let's look it up. Let's see exactly how old Fernando Alonso is. I think he's 41. He's 40. But he turns 41 on July 29th, so 19 days he'll be 41 years old. So Fernando Alonso's going to have to pit again. Huh. Ooh. Hold on. Hold on. Verstappen coming into the pit lane? What? Why? What's happening right now? 22 laps after his first stint, he comes in to put on another set of hards. That's such a confusing decision. They went. I'm so confused. So they went 15 laps on a set of mediums, but then only 22 laps on the set of hards, and there's still 34 laps to the end of the race. I'm not quite sure what the Red Bull team are doing, but we'll see what happens. That's why I'm obviously not a Formula One race engineer. Those dudes are, well, they're usually pretty intelligent, so I won't question them. I will question them, but I don't know if I'll be correct. I think I might be, though. I don't think that's a good strategy for Max Verstappen, and I'm just going to go ahead and say it now. I don't think that's a good strategy at all. I think you're going to lose the race here with a strategy like that. But maybe they're trying something because they're already losing the race. So maybe they're trying to do something unorthodox and see if they can come back and win the race. But because Charles Leclerc has immense pace. He's far and away the best driver, or best in today's race. He's been the best driver. Maybe the best car, but he's definitely, I give it to the driver. Verstappen has been complaining about his front, the front end of his car, which is understandable. If the car's not driving well, you're going to be upset. But Leclerc's performed much better. What? Red Bull are so confusing right now. So we just got 2 radio transmissions from the Red Bull team. The first one says, "Hey Max, we need you to just match Lewis Hamilton's lap times," which Lewis is in 4th. Basically saying, hey, just don't get overtaken by Lewis. Look after your tires. Max responded and said, "Why? What are you talking about?" The engineer said, we have 35 laps to go. You need to save your tires, basically. And then a couple minutes later, the engineer comes back on the radio and says, "All right, you're free to push." So even the Red Bull, even the team doesn't know what they're doing right now. They can't make their mind up. I just don't think they expected what's happening right now. Most seasons we come to Austria, the last few, Red Bull have been at the front or close to it. And this year they were at the front. They dominated the sprint race yesterday. Sergio Perez came from 13th to 5th. He stormed through the field, was overtaking people left and right. Max Verstappen was far and away from second place. He had no issues behind him. And today, though, it just hasn't been like that. He's just not had the pace, so we'll see how it goes here to the end. So they showed it just now. The projected tire life from Pirelli is 38 to 45 laps. So maybe that Verstappen, or maybe the Red Bull team just wanted to get a jump on the Ferraris and come in after 22 laps. Maybe that's going to give them some type of advantage. I don't know. They have a lot more information in front of them. But just, from a viewer standpoint, the strategy so far from Verstappen, not Verstappen, he has no call in the matter. But the strategy so far has, someone's off the circuit. Is that Vettel? It is Sebastian Vettel, and there is, don't do that. He was backing onto the circuit. I thought there might be an issue there, but he's all right. There's some debris there as well, but I don't think it's going to be interfering with the circuit. I think it's in the gravel. Let's see. There could be some, as David Croft just said, some gravel and pieces of debris. Ooh, it looks like Pierre Gasly was the man that spun Vettel around. Yeah, I completely agree with Vettel there. He said Gasly has to give up the corner. He was ahead. He added in, what is wrong with these people? I don't know about that. I don't think there's anything wrong. They're just going, it's just a Formula One driver trying to, win. Or not even win. They're nowhere near the win, but you know what I'm saying. But I do agree, though. He should have given up the corner there. If we're watching NASCAR, which I do, then it's completely different. NASCAR is, it's not like Formula One. You don't give up corners in NASCAR. You know what I'm saying? But in Formula One, the etiquette, the cars are much more fragile, and you're also at an immense speed, and the G-forces and everything like that. That's just the time when you just got to give up the corner, because you can live to fight another day. You don't give up fighting, but you give up that situation because it's a bad situation for both of you. Because Vettel goes around, but Gasly could have damage to his wing. He could have damage to his tire. Anything can happen there when you don't give up that corner and you make contact. So I think Vettel's correct. I think you got to give it up when you battle like that. Vettel was clearly ahead as they entered the corner, and Gasly kept it in there, and just like George Russell did at the beginning of the race, he just slowly slid out to the left of that turn. It was the same turn as it was earlier, and then boom. Vettel's right rear contacted Gasly's left front. Around goes Vettel. Gasly carries on. Vettel very upset, obviously. And he is going to get a 5-second penalty. So Gasly now has 2 5-second penalties today. One for exceeding track limits and one for a collision, or for causing a collision with Sebastian Vettel. So a real quick and easy review from the stewards there. No messing about. They have given Gasly a 5-second time penalty. So, 29 laps remaining here in Austria. Charles Leclerc leads over Max Verstappen, or over Carlos Sainz, his teammate, and then Max Verstappen is about a 20-second lead, 20.9 seconds, really. It's looking like, if my math is correct. So, yeah, almost 21 seconds ahead is Charles Leclerc right now. But I don't know if they can go to the end here, the Ferraris. They may be able to. Because when we calculated it, Charles Leclerc needs to go 45 laps. So Hamilton has gotten a black and white flag for track limits. That means his next time he exceeds track limits, he will be given a penalty. Anyways, Leclerc and Sainz pitted on the laps that Leclerc needs to go 45. Carlos needs to go 44. So I don't know if they can make it to the end. As I said, the expected tire life for the hard tires is between 38 and 45 laps. But that being said, will they push it that far, the Ferraris, and go for 45 laps with Charles Leclerc? Because when this stint started, when he got on the hard tires, he was putting in some cracking laps. Some absolute crackers. He put in a 108.9, which at the time was 1.1 seconds quicker than Max Verstappen's time, which is a 109.8. So hold on. All right. So I was just listening to the broadcast to see what they were saying, but they were talking about the pit strategy from Ferrari. So right now, though, if Ferrari were to pit were to pit Charles Leclerc, because let's be honest, obviously Ferrari has Carlos Sainz in the race, blah blah blah. But the race right now is Charles Leclerc in first and Max Verstappen in third. Sainz could play a big role in it because if Ferrari go for a one-stop, Verstappen's going to catch up to Carlos Sainz. Sainz can be a bit of a buffer between him and his teammate. He can hold Max back, whatever you want to call it. Just try to slow Max down. But if Ferrari decide to go for a two-stop, which they might do, it'll be a bit of a risk because right now you have the lead. Max is catching you at an astounding rate. He is 19 seconds down now, so he's gained 2 seconds in 3 laps or so. It could be a risky business to go for the two-stop if you're Ferrari because you never know what happens after. But just based off pace and what happened on the first stint, if I'm Ferrari, I'm going to go for a two-stop. I'll wait probably 10 more laps. If that, it depends how much the fall-off is, how much you're losing to Max Verstappen. But if it's not that bad, you go to about lap 55. That way you can come in, and then you got a 15-lap run on the hards. You can give it everything you got, give it full berries, and get towards the front of the pack. And I think Leclerc has the pace today to go ahead and take the lead from Max here late in this race, even if he pits again. Now, he could stay out front and win the race. Either way, he could stay out front and not pit, and Max may not catch him. It just depends on what risk you're willing to take because, if you give up the lead and don't catch Max, then it looks bad as a strategy. Like you won the race, you were winning the race, so you gave it up. You never know if he would have caught you, blah, blah. But if you stay in the lead and go on a one-stop and Verstappen catches you and passes you, because if he catches you, he's passing you. That's a given. I don't care how quick your car is. If you go 40 laps on those hard tires, Max only has, what's that? He's not going to have more than, it would be about 10 laps, 10 to 12, maybe 15 laps fresher tires than you. If Max catches it, he's getting you. So, that's the thing that Ferrari's dealing with right now. Do they defend the lead? Or, do they go on the aggressive strategy? They're just telling Lewis he has a black and white flag. Lewis is... So, Lewis Hamilton complaining about the track limit warnings. And it's really tight. They're showing these track limits that he's getting. I mean, it's so tight. It's so tight. But he asked, is this happening to other people? And they said, yeah. His engineer told him, yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of penalties and warnings and everything. So, it's not just you, Lewis. Anyways, as I was saying, so Ferrari got a big decision here. Because Max is now about 17 seconds down. No, it's still 18, actually. So, he's not gaining that much time. So, yeah, I'm staying. That's my decision. If I'm Ferrari, I'm coming in at about 8 laps, putting on a new set of hard tires, and you'll only be about 5 seconds max behind Lewis when you get back on the penalty, or behind Max. You'll only be about 5 seconds maximum behind Max Verstappen when you get back out onto the circuit. So that's the biggest thing is though, is it worth the risk? Because you got the risk of coming into the pit lane. You don't want to speed. When you get into the pit lane, you need a good stop. If you have a bad stop, you're losing the race. If your wheel gets stuck, if anything happens on the pit stop, you're screwed. Then if you get back onto the track, these tires could be worse. The track conditions could have changed. You don't have the same pace you thought you did. You don't catch Max. So, it's a big risk if you pit. But personally, I think you take that risk because this is a world-class team with a world-class driver and a world-class car. And mistakes, you can't be afraid to make a mistake. Because when you're afraid to make mistakes, that's usually when you make a mistake. So, you just gotta, I think you just go for it. You go for the two-stop if you're Ferrari. And you got 2 cars battling 1 car. So if you really want to, you go for a 2-stop with 1 car and a 1-stop with the other one. So you send Sainz to the end. And then you bring Leclerc in for a 2-stop and see if he can get to the front. Simple. You could do that. Now you have 2 shots at the cherry, or 2 bites at the cherry. You're basically it's like hedging your bet. You know what I mean? Like last night, one of my boys, he was betting on the UFC fights. He had 2 parlays going. He needed the same guy to win so he could win both parlays in his last fight. So he hedged his bet. He split it. He changed the bet in one of them to have the other guy win. That way, no matter who won that fight, he was making money. So Ferrari needs to do that. They can hedge their bet tonight or this afternoon that would be a good idea. You know, they may not do it, but just my 2 cents, that's what I would do. I would hedge my bet. I bring in Leclerc or Sainz and then have the other one do the opposite. One of them do a 1-stop, one of them do a 2-stop. And that way, it's really difficult to fail. You have to win at that point. Like, they're in such a position of leverage that they have so many opportunities and so many decisions to make that, you know, I would really consider the hedging the bet thing. That would be a good idea. But you never know what they're thinking. But they are losing time to Max Verstappen, I can tell you that much. So Esteban Ocon just unlapped himself, and he's in 6th place, and he's a lap down. Or he was a lap down. Oh, Charles Leclerc's coming into the pit lane. So they are going to go for the 2-stop. All right, so they're going to go for it here. They're going to go for the 2-stop, as I said, a little earlier than I would have done. But still, 20-lap shootout, not bad either. So Verstappen is coming down the pit straight now. Will it be a big lead for Max or a small one? Oh, it's not gonna be a big lead. How far are we talking? So Carlos Sainz is the leader because he hasn't pitted. Max is 12 seconds back on Carlos. He's now 3 or 4 seconds ahead of Charles Leclerc. I don't think there's enough pace in the Red Bull to hold off those 3 or 4 seconds for these last 20 laps. I think Ferrari did the calculating that I did and said, hey, we have got some immense pace today. We're going to come in, get this second stop, have no risk of going to the end of the race and getting caught and easily overtaken or having a tire go flat or getting a puncture late in the race. They come in, and they could be hedging their bet. They leave Carlos Sainz out there, and he's leading this race. So, nope. Incorrect. They're bringing in Sainz as well. So they're going to give up the lead to Max Verstappen, which I get it. We've seen teams in the past upset drivers, mainly Mercedes, when they upset Valtteri Bottas in the past few years when he was, racing alongside Lewis Hamilton, and they would basically use Bottas as like a pawn or like a Trojan horse, and just sacrifice his race for Lewis, which worked. Lewis won those titles, Mercedes won those titles, but not every team wants to do that because then, Valtteri leaves and he's a little bitter about it, even though he says he's not. You can always tell just seeing he just wasn't happy at Mercedes. He's much happier this year at Alfa Romeo. He's the man over there. So I guess Ferrari are trying to avoid situations like that, and that's how they've been all year. They haven't wanted to compromise one driver's race for the sake of the other or for the sake of the team that much. They have made calls and said, let him pass, let this person pass, blah, 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 blah. But they have, it seems, tried to avoid things like that. So George Russell just radios in and asked his team, do they have any damage other than what, the wing that they replaced? He thinks the car is at such a slow pace that he is wondering, why. He wants to know if there's damage to the car because of how slow the car is. So we'll see. And now here comes Lewis Hamilton into the pit lane. He's miles ahead of Fernando Alonso back in 5th and Esteban Ocon back in 6th. So Hamilton's pitting. He's just easy as you like. You come in, change the tires. It doesn't look like he's going to be able to gain position or lose position in this race. Oh, so Mercedes put on the medium tire for Lewis Hamilton. So he could crack on here late in this race and try to get up to 3rd with Carlos Sainz. So now that's got me a little excited. That has got me a little excited. It's always fun to see Lewis Hamilton on a faster tire than the rest of the field, driving in anger, trying to make up some time late. So he is, he is far. He's 29 seconds back on Carlos Sainz. I don't think he can make up 30 seconds in 19 laps. But if he does, that would be shocking. If Hamilton makes up 30 seconds in 19 laps, then it's over. That's amazing. Oh boy, here we go. Charles Leclerc. and Max Verstappen battling. I mean, Leclerc is right on his gearbox again. Verstappen is very defensive down into turn 3. Verstappen tries to make him go around the outside, but he's going to try to do a switchback. And Leclerc easily, just so simple and smooth, gets past. But Verstappen has DRS again as they go down towards turn 4. He can't make the move. He looks to the outside, just a peek. Nothing doing there. Here they come through turn 5. And down towards turn 6. Charles Leclerc looks like he's going to just drive away with this race. Doesn't look like he's going to have any competition today. What? I couldn't hear what Max said there on the radio. They didn't even show it either, but it doesn't look good for the Red Bull team. Sergio Perez down in 20th and out of the Grand Prix. And Max Verstappen, just easy as you like, being overtaken by Charles Leclerc. So, yeah, I mean, I said it before the race that I thought Max Verstappen would win this race easily. And obviously I was incorrect. This Ferrari pace has been pretty stout today. Not just the Ferrari team, but the Ferrari engine has done well. You got the 2 Haas F1 drivers down there in 8th and 9th. They've shown pretty good pace today. And then obviously you got Leclerc in first, Sainz in third. It's been a good day for the Ferrari so far. Not a good day for the Red Bulls. And Lewis Hamilton in the Mercedes, at least one of the Mercedes has had a good day. The other one, not so much. Not a great weekend for Mercedes. Both of them crashing in qualifying. And then today, obviously, George Russell making contact with Sergio Perez on lap 1, which sent sent Perez off and into the gravel and eventually had to retire the car. But it compromised George Russell's race. Damaged his wing, got him a time penalty. A lot of things not going George's way. But he's up to 6th now. Oh, and by the way, as we were just talking about everything a couple laps ago, Nicholas Latifi retired in the Williams. Not sure what happened to him. I didn't mention it because personally, I said earlier the 20 best drivers in the world. I was wrong. I think there's 18. These are 18 of the best drivers in the world. I think Lance Stroll and Nicholas Latifi suck. They're both Canadian, unfortunately, so it doesn't sound good. But look, they're both pay drivers. If their dads were not rich, they wouldn't be in the sport. It's that simple. Now, they did stuff in other series. They performed well. But they got into F1 because of sponsors. Because there's a bunch of drivers that are much better. Hold on. So Lewis is upset that they went on to the medium. He said, "What's the reason we went on to this tire?" And his team said, "We're looking at a strategy for the end of the race." So it sounds like they're looking to be able to go for the fastest lap here at the end of the Grand Prix. But, they had so much time behind them. I think they had about a 40-second lead from them to 5th. So, it was worth it. We've seen it before since they implemented the extra point for whoever gets the fastest lap. Seen it plenty of times. If you have over a 25-second lead, you bring it in, put the fastest tire on, bang in a lap, boom, take the extra point. But it was a little early to put in the tire for Lewis here. I don't know, what they're thinking to put it to go 19 laps there. I mean, the tire can go 19 laps, but it's going to lose some pace. So I don't think by the end of the race, most people would be able to put in the fastest lap. But as we said earlier in the race, Lewis Hamilton on worn tires is better than most people on fresh tires. So you never know. If it was anybody else in the field, I would say absolutely not. Like, even Verstappen or Leclerc, there's no way they're putting in the fastest lap on a 19-lap-old medium tire. But it's Lewis Hamilton, so I'm giving him a chance. And here we come. 15 laps to go. 4 seconds the gap from Leclerc to Verstappen. And Carlos Sainz has put in the fastest lap. And he's now a half a second behind Max Verstappen as he comes into the DRS zone as they head down towards turn 3. He's not going to be close enough to make a move here, but he may be close enough as they come out of turn 3 and go down towards turn 4. He looks for a second. He peeks down the inside, won't go for it. Right up the gearbox of Verstappen. And back on the DRS, he's near Verstappen's rear wing here. He's not going to have enough. Oh, Charles Leclerc's out. I mean, Carlos Sainz has an issue. That's going to be it for Carlos Sainz. The engine puffing smoke, and he's off. He pulls off the track, and another one for Carlos Sainz. The Ferrari engine gives out again. And the engine is on fire. What a heartbreaking situation here. Oh, that's so disappointing for the Ferrari team. They had a cracking performance today. Finally, things were going right for the Ferrari team. The car won't stop rolling, and it's on fire. Carlos Sainz can't get out because the car won't stop moving. So the stewards are trying to stop it from rolling, and they have done now, and they got the flame out, and Carlos is out. But a dangerous situation there. Car wouldn't stop rolling backwards. A safety car. This race just... I told you before the race we'd get a safety car. No, it's a VSC, a virtual safety car. Hold on. And Carlos Sainz, what a just terrible sight to see. Just sitting there. You can tell the disappointment. A horrible, horrible thing. They come and check on him. He gives him a thumbs up. He's just sitting there disappointed. Heartbroken for Carlos Sainz. He was just right there on Max Verstappen. About to take second place from him. Maybe even go crack on and put a battle with his teammate. But I noticed on the onboard he just wasn't gaining with the DRS, and then I realized when he slowed down to a certain point, the car went kaput, and that was it. Carlos Sainz done in Austria. A heartbreaking moment for the Ferrari team. They've had such issues with reliability this season on the engines. It's just been disappointing. So Leclerc's into the pits for a easy stop because of the virtual safety car. You lose about half the time you would if you pitted on under regular conditions, and on a virtual safety car, you have to maintain a certain delta time. So basically, you can't gain time on each other under the safety car, unless you pit under a virtual safety car. Sorry. So if when the virtual safety car comes out, Leclerc is 5 seconds ahead of Verstappen. They both have to maintain a certain pace, so that way when they restart the race, they're still 5 seconds apart. That's why they did a VSC instead of a safety car, so that way the field doesn't get bundled up. This keeps the field spread at whatever they were spread at, and it's simple as that. Once they go back green, then boom, they're set. So Leclerc and Verstappen come in and put on the medium tires, so they'll run to the end on those. I don't think it'll change anything. I think really the biggest thing here is just the heartbreak for Carlos Sainz. He had the fastest lap. He was cracking up through the field. He said he felt good on the hard tires, and just nothing good for him today. Last week he got his first career race victory, which was awesome. Ever since him and Max Verstappen were teammates at Toro Rosso back in the day, 2015, 2016. I like Carlos. I thought he was a good driver. He's a funny guy. He's just a cool dude. He gave us some great moments when he was teammates with Lando Norris, as far as on the radio and just moments between them. And they were like, really close and everything. So the McLaren team was great then. So, Sainz is just one of those dudes you root for. And it just sucks to see the Ferrari, issues with the power units this year. Not only for Sainz, but for Leclerc as well. It's been tough. Really tough. It's taken away some big moments for both of these drivers this year. So... that was just a terrible explosion, too. You could see it. Martin Brundle just pointed it out. The side pods, bowed out as the engine blew up there. It was a proper explosion in the engine. And then fire pouring out of the car. And it couldn't stop. The car would not stop. And you got to give it to the steward there. I got to give the guy some props. He ran over with the fire extinguisher in hand. Sainz was signaling like, I can't stop. The car won't stop moving. This dude put his foot and his hand under the tire and stopped the tire, just bare hand, like that. That's awesome. I like when people not only do their job but go above and beyond. He's there to help protect Carlos Sainz, but he doesn't have to stop the car with his foot in his hand. You know what I mean? He can try to get equipment, but he didn't care. He made sure he stopped him. made sure he was safe. So it was good. It was awesome to see stuff like that. But anyways, we're back underway. The virtual safety car has ended. There are 11 laps remaining here in Austria. Max Verstappen still 4 seconds off of Charles Leclerc. Lewis Hamilton now on the podium. Uh-oh. No way. Oh, Lord. So it could all be going wrong here. Charles Leclerc has just radioed to his team and said the throttle pedal feels a bit strange. His team says, we're going to look into it. We'll get back to you. Now, that could be mental stuff. He just saw his teammate go off the track with a engine failure for the 4th time in the team this season, and we're only in race 11, which is just not good, obviously. That's nearly 50% of the time you're getting a mechanical failure. And this is, you're battling for a world title, both drivers and constructors. You cannot have mechanical failures that often. But, it could be a real issue for Charles Leclerc. But you'd have to think it's a mental thing, right? Like, let's hope it is at least, because that would really suck for the Ferraris. They've had a great day today. And as I said, Leclerc really needed a day like this. And Max just put in the cracking lap of the day. A 107.8. Hold on. All right. So we're all good. We're all good for Charles. His engineer came back to him and said everything's okay on the throttle pedal based on the data they have. And Charles came back and said, yeah, everything feels good. So he is good to go, it seems. He's got 9 or about 10 laps. Yeah, 10 laps to go here. They're showing a replay between George Russell and Esteban Ocon. Russell makes a little switchback move and takes the position easily. But Charles Leclerc should be good to go to the end here. We don't want to jinx it, but hopefully for him and everybody else, no more issues. Just get to the end of the race, get the victory. And he puts in a cracker again. Let's see how fast that was. Oh, no. Max takes it right back. So they're going back and forth. Fastest lap, fastest lap. Leclerc put in a 107.583. I don't know what Max put in. It was faster than that, obviously. But they have not showed it yet. It was a 107.275. They are putting in some crackers on those medium tires. My God. That's a quick lap. 107.2. So there goes Lando Norris past Kevin Magnussen in his Haas up to 7th. Mick Schumacher is running in 6th place, which is awesome. It's great to see him finally living up to the potential that his father set out, Michael Schumacher, when he won 7 world titles. That was a Freudian slip. Sigmund Freud is from Austria, by the way. And I was thinking of Michael Schumacher, so I could roll into that Michael Schumacher thing. But I wanted to say Mick, but I said Michael. So, Sigmund Freud. Watch out for that. He's from Austria. Anyways, so Mick Schumacher running in 6th. Last week he got his first points in F1. This is coming in his 2nd season. His 32nd race, he got his first points. Today, with some confidence, belief in himself, he's up to 6th. That just proves to you. I mean, he obviously has a good car. But self-belief is a big thing. Confidence that you gain from actually doing it, when you prove to yourself that, hey, I can do this, then he's done it. And now he knows he can do it, and he's performed exquisitely all weekend. He had great pace yesterday in the sprint race. He put up a good fight against Lewis Hamilton, and today he is up in 6th place. He's only 7 seconds down on Ocon. I don't think he's going to gain the 7 seconds in the final 7 laps, but if Ocon makes a mistake, Schumacher could be right there. So Charles Leclerc, hold on. So Leclerc's come back on the radio again and asked them what's going on with the throttle. So he really must be having an issue with it now. Hold on. They come on the radio and just tell Max Verstappen to keep pushing, which is, I guess he needs they tell him Leclerc's having issues, possibly keep pushing. So I guess he needs the motivation, but he's pushing. He just put in a 107.2. I don't think he needs to be told to push. He's trying to win the race, obviously. But we'll see what they say. Charles Leclerc says that there could be an issue still. You never know. But right now, I'm watching a great battle between Valtteri Bottas and Alex Albon, and Valtteri is finally taking it, and he is going to go ahead and take the final points-paying position. They were going at it there for a couple of laps while we were talking about Leclerc and stuff, but it looks like Valtteri is going to hang on to the position. Hold on. Hold on. So there is an issue with the throttle, but it's not a mechanical issue, it seems. The engineers told him that when his throttle was hanging a little bit, they're telling him to try to lift his foot like all the way off instead of just letting his foot up. Basically, instead of driving it like a race car, I would assume it would work if you drive it like a real car, where in a real car you have to switch your feet. Obviously, you don't want him to switch his feet, but I'm saying to switch your foot, you have to lift it off the throttle and put it on the brake. So he should treat it, just lift it off the throttle and then brake with his left. That way, the throttle will lift because they're having issues with the throttle sticking. That's why he's saying it feels weird. Which, when the throttle sticks, obviously, you know, it feels soft. All right, so Max Verstappen is gaining quickly. 5 laps to go. He's less than 3 seconds back now. He's gaining quick with Charles Leclerc having this problem. But this shows you the talent. These dudes are going near 200 miles an hour, probably an average about 150 throughout the lap. Maybe that's a little exaggerated. I'm not sure. Either way, they're flying. Charles Leclerc just radioed to his team that he is now lifting the throttle with his foot. So I don't know if you've ever done it, but you can you can literally just pick your foot up off the gas, tuck your foot under it. He's literally lifting it with his foot. I'm sure you understand what I'm saying. He's putting his foot under the throttle pedal and pulling it up. That way it doesn't stick, which obviously is takes a lot of talent, but it could be considered very dangerous if the FIA stewards hear that. They might not want that to be happening. But I don't think they'll have they could have an issue. We'll see. But they haven't said anything yet. I'm trying to find my phone. I am going to go on to F1.com and vote for the driver of the day. If you're watching and you want to go on F1.com, vote for the driver of the day, go ahead and do it. It's going to be F1.com/vote. You can decide on your driver of the day. I hope I've properly portrayed the race today and who's been driver of the day, who could be driver of the day. Leclerc's had a great day. Verstappen's had a decent one. Not really great from Verstappen, though, but Leclerc's had a good one. Schumacher's had a banger. But I think personally... Hold on. So Alonso could get a penalty for release in an unsafe condition in the pit lane. So that's interesting. Let me see. I'm trying to get this F1 driver of the day. I only have 2 laps remaining. I might run out of time. But my vote today would be Lewis Hamilton, because he's had an amazing day. Started in 8th. He's up to 4th. He's just absolutely cracked on so far. And they are going to let me... No, actually... Nah, we're going to go Mick Schumacher. He's had an amazing day. He's really done well. Mick Schumacher's my guy today. That's who I'm voting for. He's had a great race. All right, so Max did gain about a 0.6 of a second on 1 lap there when Charles was starting on that, lifting the throttle with his foot. but now he's still 2.8 seconds. Now it's up to 3 seconds. So Charles could have this race in the bag here. We'll see. So he is just crossed the line. 2 laps remaining for Charles Leclerc. So Leclerc coming down towards turn 3, which he said is the hardest turn on the circuit to lift that throttle and brake because it is a heavy braking zone. One of the 3 here in Austria, but it is a super heavy braking zone. You come in there barreling in, probably close to 200, and you got to get it down to between 40 and 50 to make that tight right-hand turn. It's a tough turn on the circuit. Probably the hardest braking zone that you have on the weekend because of the speed you have to get into that turn, because the other 2 braking zones is one in turn 4, but you kind of flow through that turn. That's the one where we've seen the contact today twice. You flow through, you kind of just slowly slide to the outside of that turn, and that's how you can scrub off some speed and make it through. And then in turn 1, same thing. That turn, that's the issue with the runoff area in turn 1. You can slide, and there's a little runoff area that you can have. But that turn 3, there ain't no runoff area. And here we are, final lap of the Grand Prix. Leclerc is going to try to push, I'm assuming, but I don't think he's going to be able to. Max Verstappen is 2.2 seconds down. Just doesn't have enough time. It's the final lap. He's not going to catch him. But he does have the fastest lap of the race so far. And now we'll see if Lewis Hamilton can put in a fastest lap. Yeah, still 2 seconds. So it doesn't look like Charles is going to be having any issues here. Max will not be able to catch him, I don't think. Yeah, it looks like Leclerc's got it in the bag. He's losing a little bit of time, but it's not going to be a battle here. It's obviously exciting to see Max get a little bit closer, but not going to be close enough. Leclerc's coming down to turns 9 and 10, the final turns of this Grand Prix. Here he goes, through turn 9, smooth. Through turn 10, cool as you like. Charles Leclerc is going to win in Austria. And Max Verstappen finishes P2. Great performance from Charles Leclerc in the Ferrari this race, this weekend as well. Unfortunately, not a great day for Max Verstappen and Red Bull. Just didn't have the pace at all. Like, throughout the race, they just were not strong. So, here comes Lewis Hamilton way back, 38 seconds or so behind the top 2. Let's see. Here we go. Mercedes are going to finish 3rd and 4th, which is a surprise with the pace that I expected them to have. And George Russell, what a recovery to finish 4th. I mean, he had a horrible race. Imagine if he didn't, have that contact, he may have finished on the podium or higher. Oh, wait a minute. Those 2 positions were given to them because Sainz, they would have been 4th and 5th, so it's not that big of a difference. But still, Sainz having that issue gave them those 2 spots. But still, great. George Russell was all the way down in 14th at one point, or 13th, around there, and he storms back to the front and finishes 4th. Great performance. Got to give props to Charles Leclerc. Really good performance today. He's radioing in, telling his team that he was scared there, that the car was gonna fail on him there in those last 10. To be honest, when he said that, even as a neutral, my heart dropped a little bit too, because you really just feel for people when stuff like that happens that they cannot control. Now, if we've seen issues in the past where they've had suspension failures, not this year with these guys specifically, just in general. Hold on. All right, so Max and the engineer were just going over the race. He said second is better than third, obviously. So it's kind of interesting when you see somebody become a world champion. Even though he's still 24, he goes from being like really young, unproven guy. I mean, he was proven as like speed and stuff, but he won the world title, and he's just been different this year. I don't think Max Verstappen would be happy with a second place in previous years, but this year he's been able to see silver linings, and that's one of them. He was going to finish third. Carlos Sainz was right up his gearbox. He was going to take second position and barrel off towards Charles Leclerc. But, Sainz had the issue, so Max kept second place. And he accepted that fully. He said second's better than third, obviously. So the points are better, and he gets the fastest lap of the race. So he only loses 6 points instead of 7 in the Grand Prix or in the World Driver standings. So not the worst. And with that DNF, Red Bull only lose 6 points to Ferrari because obviously Charles Leclerc and Max Verstappen were the only driver from those teams that finished up in the points. But yeah. So that'll be it here. They're about to do the podium celebrations, but that's going to be it for me here on the Mock, aka the Maroon Athletic channel. It's been your boy Matthew. Thanks for tuning in today. I will be back for the next Grand Prix, which is in France. Let me give you the exact date on that. I believe it's July 24th. I think I'll be here on the 24th and the 31st because those should be the next two. Yep. So in France on the 24th. Well, I'll be here, but the race will be in France on the 24th and in Hungary on the 31st. And then there's a month off for the F1 summer break. So we'll find other stuff to stream or make videos about. So as you can see in my channel description, I'm going to try to post 2 videos during the week or stream, and 2 streams or videos one on each weekend. So Saturday and Sunday, I'll try to have a video or a stream each day, and 2 videos during the week. So we'll talk about a litany of sports here, obviously athletic. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. This week, spoiler, probably going to start reviewing and predicting each NFL division. So we will start with a division this week. Probably 2 divisions this week. We may make it a 4-week thing and get all 8 divisions out of the way, but we shall see. Anyways, thanks for tuning in to the Mock. It's been Matthew. I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.